Hey family, it's Denise Hill with some communication education for you. Today we're talking about how to use communication to overcome imposter syndrome. Now, got a couple things we need to define here as always to remind you what effective communication actually is. Communication is a process. It's not something that you do, it's not something that you receive. It is all of that. It is a process where there is a sender who puts together a message that sends it through a channel to a receiver who breaks down that message for meaning and understanding and then formulates their own message and sends it back to the original sender. That's known as feedback. And that whole process can be messed up with noise. It can be messed up with misunderstanding because of language, because of culture, because of gender, because of all these things that cloud our filter. It is not effective communication unless that process has completed itself and that message was sent to the receiver and broken down the way it was intended by the original sender. And of course, we know there's a lot of times in life where there is a lot of miscommunication because that message is not broken down the way it was sent and the way it was intended to be understood. And so, we just have challenges in life, and thus communication education is often needed for many of us. Now, that process of communication can mess us up when it's considered intrapersonal communication or self-talk, communication within ourselves. And yes, you talk to yourself. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you don't. We all talk to ourselves. They're called thoughts. They're called beliefs. There's conversations in our head on a continual basis. And communication within ourselves, intrapersonal communication, that self-talk is the most dangerous form of communication because I can't go into your head and correct the message if there was some misunderstanding. You're the sender, you're the receiver. If you tell yourself something toxic, you're likely going to receive it toxic and it's going to affect your overall life. In this case, in the form of imposter syndrome. So what's imposter syndrome? In short, it's that feeling that you don't belong. Like you're an imposter in this situation. Like there's something about you that's inferior to tell yourself that I'm not supposed to be here. Like this is not me. And that can be wrapped up in any particular scenario, right? Like it could be a job promotion that you were given and now you're in a room full of a bunch of big wigs and you feel inferior. You feel like, man, like they're going to find me out, that I don't really know everything that I thought I knew, or maybe I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. And that conversation can begin to break you down to a point where you're like completely unproductive because you've told yourself that you're not even supposed to be here. And it's important to be able to control that conversation and that self-talk so that that imposter syndrome does not consume you and become self-sabotaging to the point where it actually becomes true because you've told yourself it was that way to begin with. So let's talk about how we can use this communication process to overcome imposter syndrome so it does not affect your life. I've got 5 things for you to do communicatively that should help you. Number 1, listen to yourself critically. Now, listening is part of the communication process, right? Whether you're listening through a text message, whether you're listening because somebody spoke to you, whether you're listening because somebody sent you a letter, you got to receive the information in some form, right? And so as you talk to yourself, you need to listen to yourself critically. You're listening to yourself anyway, which is why when you tell yourself, oh, I'm fat in that dress, you believe it because you told yourself it and you wouldn't lie to you, right? Yeah, actually you would. Well, I'll say you would mislead yourself based on a whole lot of stuff that was fed to you through other areas of your life, whether it be the media, whether it be music you're listening to, television shows you're watching, just people around you that have their own perspective and their own thoughts. Like, yeah, you would actually mislead yourself. So you're not just listening to receive the message you're sending yourself, but listen critically. Like, is what I'm telling myself actually working for me? Is it working against me? Is it helping me in this scenario? Is it toxic? Is it life affirming? Like, listen critically and begin to judge what you're actually saying to yourself. That's the first step communicatively on how you can overcome imposter syndrome. Listen to yourself critically. What are you saying to yourself? If it's not working, that's step 2. It's time to change that language. Yeah, I mean, you really should review that video that I did on weak words and strong words, because sometimes we can talk to ourselves in such a way that it breaks us down, and we're not able to be as productive and effective and efficient or live up to our potential and the standards that we actually can reach. If we look at our gifts and talents, like we can actually do this thing if we told ourselves that we could. But when we give ourselves that space to doubt, because we use weak words, we use words like can't and I'm not sure and maybe, as opposed to affirming that yes, I can do this. I sure can. You hear yourself say, man, I don't know if this is going to be a good day. We're going to change that language. Today is going to be an awesome day. I'm going to put my best foot forward today. We're going to do what needs to be done to get the results that we want to do. Change your language. So first, you've got to listen to yourself critically. And when you hear yourself talking to yourself in a way that's not productive, that's not working towards your goal, then you've got to change your language. That's number 2. Number 3, remind yourself of your wins. Like, yeah, there's a reason you're in this scenario that you're doubting yourself in, that you believe you're an imposter in. Like, you're there because you pulled yourself to that level. You did the work. You got the education. You went and got the life experience, got the professional experience. You need to celebrate yourself. Take a moment and be like, yo, I did that. And listen, I just made some big statements, right? About education and about promotions and about experience. You need to celebrate the small wins as well. Like that time when you listened to yourself critically and you heard yourself talking to yourself negatively, so you changed your language. Like, you can celebrate that as a win, because there was a time when you would have believed yourself when you said, I can't, and you just wouldn't have even tried. But this time you caught yourself, said, you know what? It's not that I can't, it's that I need to figure out a way to be able to do this successfully. And I will figure, and you changed that language, and then you did it and saw your results. Boom, that's a win. Like, you need to celebrate that. That's one of the ways that communicatively you can get over imposter syndrome. So that's 1, listen to yourself critically. When you hear something negative, 2, change that language. Okay. Once you change that language and you see results happening in your life, celebrate those wins. That's number 3. Okay. Now, number 4, consider others' perspective. Now, you probably didn't get into that room you believe you're an imposter in on your own. Somebody gave you that promotion, or somebody invited you into their circle, or somebody said, hey, they're a great person who can do this. Somebody saw that potential in you. You need to receive that and add that as part of your filter that you look at the world through and that you look at yourself through. You need to look at how others see you as a success, see you as knowledgeable, see you as experienced, see you as capable. Like, look and consider others' perspectives, because they see that you can do it. You're the only one telling yourself that you can't, right? So if you listen to what you're saying critically, change your language, then you begin to remind yourself that you got this, that you've done this, that you're a winner, and that you also look at others who believe you are too. You can help yourself get over imposter syndrome. Now, number 5, something you have to do daily, because listen, I don't care how old you are, you have been talking to yourself for that long. And if you met somebody and they start talking to you negatively and telling you, hey, you're this and you're that, and they start, feeding you toxic things, you've known that person for X number of days, weeks, months, or years. You've been with yourself your entire life. Okay. And so you've got more invested into speaking negatively to you than anybody else does. So that means for you to undo all of that, what seemingly comes natural to you, speaking negatively or not talking in a way that affirms the possibilities and a growth mindset, like, you've got to unlearn those principles and practices and dismantle that belief system within you. You've got to do that. And it's going to take even as long as you've been living, if not longer, to do that, which means you got to get started. So every single day, affirm yourself daily. That's number 5. Every single day, affirm yourself. Like, look in the mirror eyeball to eyeball, says, I am capable. I have the gifts and talents to achieve the goal that I set for myself. I belong in this room that I've been promoted to. I have the ability to achieve the things that have been set in front of me by my occupation, by my personal desires, by my goals and dreams. I am capable. Like, affirm yourself every single day. Remind yourself, say it till you see it and believe it every single day. Because I promise you, every single day, there's going to be language coming at you from others and even from yourself that's going to try to convince you that you can't do any of that and keep you in that imposter syndrome mentality. So you have got to do the work every day to affirm yourself. So let's look at this again from a communication perspective, right? You're the sender of the message. You're the receiver of the message. So you have got to take control of this message so that you can get rid of that imposter syndrome and live your best life. By one, listening to yourself critically. By two, changing that language that's not working for you, is not helping you, is working against you, and is keeping you in a depressed state and in a place where you don't believe you belong. Three, you've got to remind yourself of your wins, and you have them every single day. Every single day. When you get up out the bed and you didn't feel like, woo, that's a win. Like, you showed up to do your best. That's a win. And all the big stuff too, like you achieved that major goal that you set for yourself. That's a win too, but don't deny yourself the small ones as well. That's number three. Four, make sure you consider the perspective of others because they believe you can do it. All right. So stop telling yourself you can't. And then every single day, look at yourself in that mirror and affirm yourself daily. Affirm that you are capable. Affirm that you are able to do all the things that are set in front of you. Affirm that you have been gifted and talented to do this. Affirm yourself daily and use these communication practices to better that conversation in your head and overcome imposter syndrome. Okay? You can do it. I'm telling you that you can. Yeah. I look forward to giving you some more communication education real soon. Remember, not what you say, what you communicate. All right?